love meatballs for dinner. They are so versatile. You can serve them on top of spaghetti or in a meatball sub, or you can just dip them in your favorite sauce and eat them as is. Today, we're gonna make them actually with ground chicken. And I'm sure you're thinking, ground chicken, is it gonna be dry? Is it gonna be flavorless? No, we're gonna make super juicy, I almost said moist, meatballs that have a ton of flavor, and I'm gonna show you how. Hey everybody, my name is Susie Weinrich and welcome to Mom's Dinner. Here we help adults feel successful at dinner time. So if that sounds good to you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you subscribe and follow along. All right, we're making these ground chicken meatballs, and you'd think we're gonna start with the ground chicken. We actually are not. But I do want to talk a little bit about what chicken you want to use when you're making a ground chicken meatball. There's probably going to be two different options for you at the grocery store, and what I recommend is buying one that is going to show you that it has a little bit of fat content. So this package here is showing me that it does have an 8% fat content. If you're buying a ground chicken that is all breast meat or all white meat, your chances of your meatballs being really dry are going to be higher than if you get a ground chicken with fat content. This just means there's a little bit of fat in there, and there's probably also some dark meat mixed in there, which is just going to equal flavor. We're gonna start by adding half a cup of panko breadcrumbs to a bowl. And panko breadcrumbs are similar to traditional breadcrumbs. They're just a little bit thicker, and they're also considered or could be called Japanese style breadcrumbs. Then we're gonna need about a quarter cup of milk, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, 1 teaspoon of onion powder. Now I'm just gonna stir that together for just a minute, and we are gonna chop up some shallots and some parsley. This is a little kitchen tip. I love to keep my parsley and cilantro in a little cup of water in the fridge, and it will last, I'm not kidding you, it will last like 2 months. It's wild. Just change out the water every once in a while and it will last you a really long time. So we need 2 tablespoons of freshly chopped Italian parsley. I'm gonna just set that to the side, and we're gonna grab out our shallot. So a shallot is in the onion and garlic family, but it basically is like a sweeter and a more delicate form of an onion. So this is gonna be perfect in our chicken meatballs. We just wanna mince these shallots up so they're nice and fine inside of the chicken meatballs. Woo! My eyes are so sensitive to any kind of onion. It is a whole thing. Now we just need a couple garlic cloves, and the recipe I believe calls for 2 garlic cloves, but I've got some really small garlic cloves here. So I'm gonna actually go ahead and use 3 whole garlic cloves, and I'm just gonna get minced up. Okay, we're gonna bring back in this little breadcrumb mixture. And so to that, I'm gonna add the shallot, the garlic, and the parsley. Now we'll get that all mixed together. So I'm just gonna set this to the side. I'm gonna actually bring in another bowl, and we're gonna get mixed together 1 large egg, and then we're gonna do about 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. That's not only gonna add moisture, it's gonna add really delicious flavor. So I'm just gonna kind of eyeball 2 tablespoons. Okay, so I'm gonna get that little mixture added to our breadcrumbs and get that all stirred together. And that is going to be a really flavorful panade that we're gonna add to the ground chicken. Okay, we're also gonna add a little bit of grated Parmesan cheese to that panade mixture. So I'm just gonna grate up half a cup of Parmesan cheese and get that added. All right, and then the last thing that we talked about at the beginning, the ground chicken. We just have 1 pound of ground chicken, and I'm gonna open up this package and get it added. For this next part, you can either use clean hands, or what I like to do is actually use a fork and mix the panade with the ground chicken so that a really nice meatball mixture forms together. I know that this is raw ground chicken, but it already smells incredible. So we are going to get these formed into meatballs now. All right, we're gonna get everything prepped here. I've got the oven preheated to 400 degrees. I have a large rimmed baking sheet lined with a little bit of parchment paper, and now I'm just gonna spray it with a little bit of nonstick spray. Now, out of this chicken meatball mixture, we're gonna make about 20 meatballs. And how I like to do that is to use one of these. I think it's traditionally called a cookie scoop, but it works perfect for meatballs. So how I like to do it is actually to just portion all of these out first before I form them. What that does is helps you make sure that you have equal sized meatballs. So if you get down to the bottom of the pan and you just have a little bit left or you have a lot left, then you can divide it out among the heaps of meatballs and then form them so that they're all kind of even. And what that does, it has nothing to do with the aesthetics of the meatball. It's more about cooking time and making sure that all of your meatballs cook evenly. So actually, we got 19 meatballs here. So what I'm gonna do is actually wet my hands just a little bit. Ground chicken can be very sticky, and that just helps it not stick to your hands. Some people will have you actually spray your hands with Pam or nonstick spray, and that is just terribly messy. Water works much better. I just washed my hands, I got all of the meatballs rolled, and so now it's time to put them in the oven. Before we do that though, we are gonna spray the tops of them with a little bit of nonstick spray. And what that's gonna do is help the meatballs get nice and golden brown. Sometimes when chicken meatballs cook, they can look a little bland, but if you spray them with just a little bit of nonstick spray, they get a nice golden color. All right, I'm gonna get these in the oven for about 20 minutes. You want your chicken to reach 165 degrees internal temperature to be completely cooked through. These meatballs are perfect. They are hot out of the oven. They are cooked through beautifully. They're still nice and juicy, and they got just a little bit golden on the outside. I cooked them for 20 minutes, and then I broiled them at the end for about 2 or 3 minutes just to get a little bit of a golden color on the outside. So I'm going to go ahead and plate these up. So tender, so juicy. Like I said, you can see the bottom got a little bit golden there. These are great on a sandwich like a meatball sub, on top of spaghetti, on top of zoodles. You can just eat them as is, kind of like a chicken nugget. You can have your kids dip them in whatever sauce they really like. And they are so delicious and versatile. And I think I'm gonna try this one right here. Hopefully it doesn't burn my mouth. Oh my gosh. These are so incredible. You have to make these. My mouth is tingling just from taking one bite. They are extremely flavorful. They are impossibly tender, and they're still juicy, which is great. What a beautiful meatball. So I'm gonna eat the rest of this meatball. So if you make this recipe for dinner for your family, I would love to have you in the comments. Let me know how it turned out for you, what you served it with, and what your family thought about the recipe. So as always, I hope that this dinner recipe helps you feel like a success at dinner time. We'll see you next week.